Colonel Haas asked me a question recently to clarify a video that I recently reposted about the consent of the governed. And it's like judging, I'll have a link to the video down below. Judging from your physical mannerisms, I think you definitely misunderstood me. You and I, the Haas, you and I think, look at the world in a very similar way. And I'm near certain that if we lived in the same town, under the same circumstances, we would probably follow very similar paths. At least I hope so, because you appear to be a great person, and I think you're a fine American. Very much so, and I also believe you to be a patriot. I'm going to talk about that in this video, as well as consent of the governed. Now, in the video that Haas is referring to, I believe, I don't know if it was the one with the rubber duck, where I'm talking about the truckers and stuff. I don't know which video you meant offhand. I watched your response on my phone, and I don't know which one it was. I mean, all these videos are like well over a year old that I put up. But here's the thing, and this is what it comes down to. Consent of the governed, in the manner that I was presenting it, had to do with what you do during the day. There is a traffic light at the end of the road. And I'm going to oversimplify this. There's a traffic light at the end of the road. You're driving your vehicle. You stop at the traffic light. It's a red light. There's no traffic in any direction. But because that light is red and you have come to that line, you stop. That is direct consent of the governed. Now, at that same stoplight, there's a camera, a surveillance camera, photographing your every little move, photographing the type of vehicle you have, the clothes you're wearing, your facial expressions, who may be in the vehicle with you. Given computer technology, it's identifying you, it's identifying your passengers, it's identifying the type of vehicle you have, potentially identifying the weight of your vehicle, how loaded it is, are the springs sagging, all that good stuff. You let that camera do that. You don't say anything either. Not you, the person in this situation. They don't write their attorney general. They don't write their representative. Nobody knows that they don't like that camera. But they don't like it. But they don't tell anybody. That is what in law would become implied consent. Now, the reason why I know this is recently in my life, I've had a reason to look at some state statutes because of something we're going through. And so many of these statutes clearly read, if the opposing party is not present at the date set by the court, that implies consent to the process. So if one person is trying to take something from another person, and the person who wants to take shows up, and the person who has the thing that the person is trying to take doesn't show up, that they didn't show up, that they didn't say anything to that court, means that they consent to whatever decision is made. Implied consent. Now, at the time I posted that video, I was on this mission to make people more aware of their individual rights. And I don't think people, very, very well-meaning people, I don't think very, very well-meaning people have read John Locke or Socrates and Plato and put them all together in a mishmash, and then add the Declaration of Independence to there, and then add a little shitload of Thomas Paine in there, and then put it all together in how they conduct their lives. You know, I see you as one of those people, Haas, by the way. I wake up in the morning every day, and I attempt to conduct my day on purpose. All day long, I am governed. I'm governed at my work. I am governed in my family behavior. I'm governed in the way I drive. Everything. And each decision I make, many, many times, I am made to give my consent. Because the price that I would have to pay to withdraw my consent is too great at this time. I believe the Declaration of Independence clearly spells out, and several other documents clearly spell out, that the time to withdraw your consent... Oh, no, that was in A Just War. Irish used to have some videos on it. The time to withdraw your consent is when the cost of continuing consent is greater than the cost of removing that consent. I hope I'm making sense so far. I'm not about rolling over and encouraging being raped by a faceless entity, by a man who can control a gun with a piece of paper. I'm not saying that's a good thing at all. I'm saying people need to be aware of their rights. When we talk about rights, these rights are given to you. And when some stuffed soup writes a piece of paper that on the piece of paper is written that you no longer have those rights, what do? We bring up another piece of paper that showed our former guarantee of those rights. It wasn't the piece of paper that guaranteed that right. It was the consent of the people that would either allow or not allow that right to be removed. The Bill of Rights of the United States Constitution are, in their historical context, were a very, very innovative set of guidelines. I don't think anybody fucking realizes that. Even modern patriots, I don't think they realize the implication of rights. You know, they think of it as no, this is just in their behavior, and I'm one of these people. The way that people behave about the Bill of Rights only further, how do I put this? It only makes it worse, the way some people term the Bill of Rights. Because when you lean too heavily on those guarantees on the Constitution, when you lean too heavily on that, it only further empowers that those rights are derived from the government. Okay, and I'm going to wrap all this up here right now. When you take a process that those rights are derived from the government and not derived from the individual, you've lost. So if you pursue it in such a way, like, oh, it's because of this Bill of Rights that that I may possess this item, that I am given due process of law from my peers. If you hold it up as if it's granted from the government, then it's within the government's purview to take it away. As I believe they have done so. How about that? If you look at it from the perspective of John Locke, and also another peer at the time, some of the stuff from Adam Smith and Thomas Jefferson and Thomas Paine. It's a individual rights process, and these things were published in order to inform people what their natural rights are. Should for some reason we end up in a situation we are in today where people have somehow forgotten their natural rights, and in my opinion, de facto have lost what made this nation strong. So, if people understand that they have the ability to resist at any time, and if the governing body realizes that people have the ability to withdraw their consent and resist at any time, I think you have a very different situation. Right down to the point with when you're pulled over by a cop and you see those lights, instead of your heart pounding, you have a very different point of view. When he wants to see what's in the glove box, or when he wants to see what's in the trunk, or when he asks you to step outside of the car. Now, there are consequences to that, of course, but if you do go along with it, know that it's you that went along with the government. The government? The governess? Oh well. Hope that 12 minutes of your life clarifies it. Anyway, thanks a bunch, and I'm glad that you took it the wrong way and it pissed you off. I'm glad to see that the idea of me being some sort of a sheep bitch in this process would piss you off. I'm glad. Hopefully that's one favor I'll be able to return to you someday. Thank you. We'll see you later.